All right, we're coming to you live from Las Vegas. I'm here with Greg O'Gallagher, also known as Kinobody. He's at his home in Toronto, and you can see him oftentimes at the RC World Summit, RC Winter Summit. He has an amazing YouTube channel, and he has also featured some of the RC instructors on his video channel doing really interesting things. Everything from having RSD Max on his channel, picking up girls on the beach, to helping Julian and other instructors with their health and fitness. I'm really happy to have him here today also because I'm working a lot on my health and fitness game, trying to upgrade that. And he's also somebody who has a great strategic mindset in terms of business and developing. He's an awesome entrepreneur and just an all-around really fascinating guy. If you look at a lot of your videos, Greg, I see that your videos have a really cool cinematic effect. They've been really captivating. I really love that. It's kind of inspired a lot of what I've been doing on my YouTube channel, especially since I just created it. And it's gotten a lot of traction, and I've been really inspired by watching your videos and Brandon Carter's videos and seeing what's going on there. I guess, yeah, I'd love to have you just fill in any blanks about anything I might have missed about you before we get into this interview.
Yeah, that was a really great introduction, and thank you for the kind words. I don't know what else to say there. Yeah, like I've kind of just been passionate about fitness since I was a kid, and I just felt inspired to share that with the world. So once I heard about YouTube, I was like, damn, I gotta do YouTube videos. I started doing YouTube videos long ago, and sort of my approach to fitness, for people that are unaware of who I am, kind of evolved because I was getting burnt out following the dogmatic advice of having to eat every 2 to 3 hours, only eat clean food. You know, you can't go out with your friends and socialize and have a couple of drinks. Just in the gym every day, like just training and doing cardio. And it just became this burden that it just didn't make sense. I'm like, what's the point of looking good if I'm not enjoying life? And so at the, within the depth of that is where I started to evolve my approach, my brand, which teaches people and has been incredible for myself, how to actually get that lean, sleek, muscular physique without killing yourself in the process. And so I've shared this with, I guess hundreds of thousands of people now, and the response has been amazing. And in the process of sharing my approach to fitness, I've had to learn a lot about, marketing, a lot about how to, inspire people to take action. So yeah, I think we got an exciting podcast today.
Cool. Now, as a mentor, is most of your mentoring over the internet, or do you also do in-person trainings with your clients?
So most of what I do is I write fitness programs that are like designed towards a certain goal, whether it's like aggressive fat loss, getting lean very quickly, or putting on strength and muscle for that Greek god physique, or the goddess program. So I actually have about 6 different programs that I've created that basically teach how to actually achieve your goals. And I design them in a way that really explains why most of what you've been doing hasn't worked. What the solution is. Why we're setting things up a certain way. What are the workouts? What's the nutrition philosophy? And so most of what I do is I create programs that I sell, and then upcoming we're getting into some more group kind of coaching stuff, but I don't do any like one-on-one work. I used to do one-on-one coaching a few years ago, but then once the business got to a certain point, I just didn't have the time. It didn't make sense to to do one-on-one coaching.
Well, success in your health is pretty much the foundation that everyone needs before they can focus on that success in their business, personal, and dating life. Because if you don't have your health, you kind of don't have the energy, the passion, the motivation, and that drive to really push things forward. You're kind of incapacitated on that sense. So I'd love to hear your philosophies and your ideas to get someone like myself who's, I'm an active business owner. I'm, going out and making videos. I'm traveling, and I guess it'd be really interesting to hear like how you would help someone like me, and also some of your overarching philosophies in terms of health and fitness.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It comes down to a few things. The first is you got to realize that actually getting in great shape doesn't have to be this full-time obsession. It doesn't have to suck. I mean, a lot of what people teach is like, if you want to get in great shape, it's just extreme. You gotta go to the gym every day, cardio weights, you gotta eat like 6 tiny small meals. So I would actually show you a different model where it's like, getting in great shape, while it requires a lot of effort, it's not gonna be brutal. What we wanna do is we wanna focus on getting stronger. That's one of the key components that people kind of forget. They go and they lift weights, but they're not focused on actually making that progressive overload, that progress week to week. So I'd say, Nick, we're gonna do 3 workouts a week. And usually, even if you're super busy, most people can handle 3 40-minute workouts a week. So there's really no excuses there. I'm going to focus on getting stronger on these movements. Every week we're going to try and push for, maybe one more rep or a little bit more weight. And I'd have you get motivated and inspired to the gym, because you're not in there every day. You still have time to live your life. And then when you go into the gym, you're like, oh my God, I'm 5 pounds stronger on my incline bench. And then like over the course of a few weeks, a few months, you start to get really inspired because you see that progress before your eyes. You see it on paper. You're like, oh my God, when I started, I couldn't do a chin-up. Now I can do 6 chin-ups, with 20 pounds. So it's really about getting people to really focus on the numbers. People that are successful in business, that's usually where they get a lot of gratification, seeing that numerical growth, month to month. So when you take that kind of mindset and apply it to fitness, it's game changing, and you focus on really what matters. You focus on making that the week to week improvement, and that's the kind of the training. A lot of people try and do a lot of cardio or conditioning or fat burning workouts, but they're just massively inefficient. If you go hard for an hour on cardio, you simply are not going to burn that many calories, and a few bad choices, and you can eat way beyond that. So trying to use working out as a tool to lose weight is actually inefficient. So what we talked about earlier as far as getting stronger, working out should be designed to build the physique you're after, and nutrition is really what supports fat loss. And the nutrition philosophy is actually, the one I teach is actually massively enjoyable, because it doesn't require you to have to restrict foods you love. If you love having French fries a few nights a week, I'm not going to say, Nick, you're never allowed to have French fries again. Once I say that, it actually just causes you to get anxious and be like, shit. Like, it causes you to naturally exercise willpower, just because it's that resistance. Oh, I'm not allowed to have something, so it kind of burns you out. So I would never tell you can't have chocolate, you can't have French fries. I'd say, you know what? We're going to find a way to make this diet as enjoyable as possible. I want this to be effortless. And so we got to find out, how many calories do you need to lose fat at a good pace? And for you, maybe it's 2,100 or 2,000. It's like, let's fit in the foods you love and make sure you're getting enough protein, getting a balanced, healthy food. But let's make this as enjoyable as possible. And one of the philosophies I love, it takes a couple weeks to adapt, but it's just game-changing, is intermittent fasting. Once you adapt to it, all of a sudden, you're fasting well into the afternoon, you're super productive and focused. And then, when it comes time to eat, you can eat big, awesome meals while dropping fat. That's been a game changer. And the research on intermittent fasting, a lot of people used to be skeptical. It's like, I'm going to store fat, I'm going to burn muscle. But actually, the research has shown that intermittent fasting actually increases fat mobilization. It boosts growth hormone, which actually preserves muscle protein. As long as you're not fasting for up to 3 days, you're fine. So if you fast, if you wake up and you go, until lunch or dinner time, there's no negative effects in the least. In fact, it's amazing for your health. There's some life extension properties, neuroprotective properties, reduces the risk of a lot of different illnesses. So intermittent fasting is one of the best things that our society has neglected, because we live in this consumer-based society where people want you to spend money, and telling you not to eat breakfast or go a period of time without eating does not help them, make money. So I would say, training smart and intelligently 3 days a week, with a focus on getting stronger, tracking your progress, doing intermittent fasting, and setting up your diet in a way that allows you to reach your goals but still stay satisfied. That, anyone really can do that. These days I only lift weights about 2 days a week, and I'm still able to make some gains. So most people focus on doing tons of volume. I focus on progress, and if you train properly, you can actually make very good progress with less, because recovery is so important. There's no way in which you can train hard and intensely day after day, because our nervous system requires about 48 hours to recharge. So when you train on non-consecutive days, you actually come to the gym stronger. You're able to make much better gains. And this really comes down to what I teach with Kino Body, is getting the maximum gain from the minimum effort. And the cool thing with this is when you train, you build your physique without spending hours and hours in the gym. The muscle doesn't fade away. You're hard, you're dense, it's consistent. If you take a week off the gym, you still look good. Whereas a lot of these guys that spend all day in the gym, pumping up, they take 2 days off the gym and they're deflated. So I mean, this is really what I've created has been like really what I feel is the most incredible, effective way to train for people that don't really want to just be a slave to the gym and they realize there's more to life than just looking good and working out.
That sounds like a very different routine than I'm used to because, and I love it because I need to dramatically change the way I'm doing my workouts. I've been always training for long distance, long distance endurance, marathon, Ironman races, that kind of stuff. And then I got into golf. I used to do a lot of the weights and that kind of a training with a personal trainer at a trainer's gym in Hollywood. But about 10 years ago, I collapsed while doing some kind of exercises, lifting weights over my head, and I got paralyzed through half my body, like the right side of my face, the right side of my chest, the right side of my leg, for about 90 seconds. And after going to the emergency room, they told me that they thought it was a pinched nerve or something. And it scared me so much that the only kind of weights I've been lifting since then have been pink. So I haven't really been doing anything. I love the idea of trying to get something in there that's not too scary to me, not going to be too much. To me, that doesn't risk this unknown thing that happened to me. But I love also the idea of this intermittent fasting. And I was talking to Julian and Max about this in Los Angeles just a few days ago. I was out there and we were talking about how I was going to interview you, and they were telling me, and I'm not exactly sure if I get this right, but intermittent fasting, I believe the general concept of it, from what I understand, is that from 12 to 8 p.m. you have your 3 meals, but it's not like you eat anything outside of that. But you also might have a craving, and you have to be aware of the dangers of just eating a lot at another time. If I'm not exactly right on that, please clarify exactly what it is.
So that's a good way to start. That's sort of the Martin Burkhan model where you have a 16-hour fast and an 8-hour eating window. But I'm much more flexible, and it depends on your lifestyle. If you're someone like me that wakes up at 12 p.m., it doesn't really make sense. It's not really intermittent fasting if you have your first meal at 12 p.m. That's breakfast. So I actually don't even worry about having a specific window that's 12 to 8. To me, that's too rigid, too restrictive. I want to have the freedom to be able to be like, oh my God, you know what? I got a dinner and it's a little bit later, and I don't want to be like, oh my God, it's outside my window, I can't have this dinner. Or if I'm a bit hungry earlier. So I'm a lot more flexible. What I tell people is simply from the time you wake up, push your first meal, 4 to 8 hours, depending on your preference and your mood and how you feel. At least at the bare minimum 4 hours. So if you're someone that wakes up at 9 in the morning, then you want to get used to pushing that first meal until maybe 1 p.m. If you do that for a few weeks and you want to go a bit longer, then go up to 3 or 4 or 5 p.m. That 4 to 8 hour fast from the time you wake up till the time you eat is really the sweet spot, and it's a lot more flexible because it's not like, oh my God, I have to eat at 1 p.m. on the dot. It's just a lot more relaxed. And then if you want to have your last meal a bit earlier that night because you're gonna go to bed earlier, then you could do that. If you want to if you're like up all night and you haven't had your last meal, it's 1 in the morning, then you can still eat that meal, because the benefits of intermittent fasting are from being in some strict arbitrary window, but rather it's just waking up and not thinking about food and going about your day and going at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours without any food in your stomach. And I use a few tricks to make this freaking effortless, which is one of which is drinking some black coffee. It actually really helps blunt your appetite. A lot of people like to stay away from caffeine. Actually, the research on black coffee actually shows it has a lot of health benefits. And coffee drinkers outlive non-drinkers. So I don't think, some people think, oh, coffee's bad. You can always abuse something, but a couple cups of coffee per day are definitely not bad. So I actually use coffee to blunt appetite during the fast, and sparkling water. In fact, I got some sparkling water right here. It actually fills your stomach. So it actually is so easy for me. I don't even get hungry at all for several hours. And then when I can eat these amazing big filling meals. It's an incredible lifestyle. So someone like you that's busy, that's running businesses, that's got meetings, it's like it actually works really well because when we're alert and during the day when we got to do a lot of thinking, we got to work hard. It doesn't actually make sense to be digesting a lot of food. The two go against each other. When you're digesting food, like a big meal, that stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. So you're relaxed, you're rejuvenating. Whereas when you're fasting, when you're not eating, that triggers your sympathetic nervous system, which keeps you alert, focused, energetic. So I actually am way more productive when I do intermittent fasting because I'm not eating. I'm just like, go, go, go. What I got to get done? But then, later in the day when I eat, it just chills me out. So it's like this perfect balance that works so well with, business type people.
I guess that sounds great, and I think that in terms of like food, nutrition, a lot of people will try to get custom plans. At the same time, we're talking to thousands of people who are watching this interview right now, and I guess a lot of them would just love to model exactly what you're doing as like a general role model startup base. Could you give us like an insight of like typical daily meals for lunches, dinners, breakfast, or exactly what you eat and what you enjoy eating and how you actually create that diet plan for you?
Right, and so as far as like customization for nutrition, there's not like the biggest difference between someone like you or me or maybe someone that's like 300 pounds is watching this or someone that's 130 pounds is two things. It's like, what are their goals? Do they want to gain weight or do they want to lose weight? And how high are their metabolisms? How many calories they burn each day? So some people might have to eat more food or less food, but that's like really the only difference as far as nutrition wise that we got to be like really aware of. But for me, I will fast well into the day, and then I'll eat a little bit of fruit. I eat the foods. Here's what I do. I eat the foods that are the most satisfying and filling for me because at the end of the day, getting lean is very, very difficult. Staying lean, staying, single-digit body fat is also very, very difficult. So you want to make it as easy as possible, and that comes down to finding the foods that fill you up. That's not necessarily the healthiest foods in the world. I could eat brown rice all day and I would still be hungry. So for me, it's about, gravitating to the really, really filling foods. Lean meats, fruits, veggies, even some high quality chocolate actually satisfies me, kicks my cravings, and makes it easier for me to stay lean. I actually play around with healthy food and junk food, but I just make sure if I'm having junk food, I don't overdo it, and I also find the junk food that fills me up. So, for example, I don't think it's reasonable to say I'm never going to have sugar again. That's one of the things you see in like the diet industry. It's like, going to kick sugar. But it's just, the reality is and the research shows this, is most of the damaging effects of eating is eating at a chronic surplus. So you're always eating more than your body needs. You're gaining fat. That's what creates a lot of the stress. It's perfectly okay to have a little bit of sugar in your diet, if you're eating healthy food and if you're active and if you're maintaining a healthy weight. That's something that, a lot of people don't understand or teach. So people kind of view foods as good food, bad food. Oh, you're having a cookie, that's bad. It's like, no, it comes down to context. Having a cookie is okay. So for me, I eat like a lot of some salads, some fruits, a little bit of vegetables, a lot of lean protein, cheese, potatoes, French fries, some pop chips, some chocolate. Right now I'm loving these Rice Krispie squares because I'm blown away how full I am after like a 240 calorie Rice Krispie square. Sometimes I'll break my fast with a 240 calorie Rice Krispie square and I'll be really satisfied, and then I'll go a couple more hours and then I'll have a big meal later. So I'm actually like the least neurotic person in the world about eating. I just think, get enough protein, get sufficient protein, eat some healthy food, and then enjoy your life. And a little bit of sugar is not going to be as bad for you as you think, not in the least. I actually feel way better now that I've become less neurotic. I used to eat like 95% clean food, but now it's much more balanced, and I feel like my testosterone's higher. I'm giving my body the food it needs. I don't demonize carbs or fats. As long as you're hitting your calorie intake, like for example, if you want to get lean, Nick, as long as you're in that deficit, you can eat carbs, you can eat fat, you can eat carbs and fat together, and you will not gain fat because your body's in a deficit, so it has to make up the energy deficit through burning your fat tissue. As long as you're strength training, this is, earlier you mentioned you do a lot of marathon running, you do, a lot of cardio. Well, that's not that effective because if you're going to lose weight, if you're going to lose 10 pounds, you need to force your body to maintain the muscle. You don't want to lose 10 pounds of muscle. You want to, lose 10 pounds of fat. So you need that strength training to ensure that your body maintains muscle tissue when you're stripping off the fat. As well, like strength training is so crucial because it helps with bone density, it helps with so many things. And I think there's a really cool research paper showing that people that were stronger live longer. So, everyone should be strength training, and it's actually more important than cardio. But then cardio still has its place. I think it's important. But I mean, the way I view cardio is if you're looking at fat loss, walking is actually one of the best forms of cardio you can do, because you'll burn calories walking, but you don't really feel like you're exercising. So it doesn't really take a lot of discipline. It doesn't really take a lot of effort. And it doesn't make you hungrier. If you do an hour run, you're going to compensate. You're going to eat more, typically, especially if you're trying to keep your calories low. So I'm going through like a lot of stuff. But so one of the things that happens is when someone has to hit a certain calorie intake, and then they add cardio to the mix, that cardio just makes them really hungry, so it makes it harder to stick to their diet. But if they were to do an hour of walking every day, that would not actually increase their hunger at all. And the research shows this. Walking has a neutral effect on appetite. Sometimes it actually helps you reduce cravings, get outside and go in for a walk. And then if you do want to do cardio, I'm all for learning skills. Cardio is where you should learn skills. Do a martial arts class. Get a kickboxing coach. Do something where it feels like you're not working out to burn fat, but like you're actually learning something and having fun. Go play soccer. Go play basketball. That's how I view cardio, just because I think it's nuts that some people would just want to spend so much time just in the gym, like training, got to get the body. It's like, dude, do a few like deliberate workouts to build the strength and muscle, then go and have fun and play, walk around, listen to podcasts, walk with a friend, go do some kickboxing classes or do some play some sports. But make life fun and enjoyable. Don't just make it always like work. That's what I think.
What's your balance in terms of these extracurricular sports and activities? Are you doing kickboxing and other sports as well as this workout on a regular basis?
Yeah, so as of late, I've been strength training 2 days a week, and then I've been doing some kickboxing 2 days a week, and then on the other days I'll just be just go for a walk. So I definitely get that balance in there, I just find it way more enjoyable. I don't really play. I used to play like hockey and basketball, but I don't really play any of that stuff anymore. But yeah, that's more or less. I've actually been thinking about doing some like hip hop or dance class for fun, just to like have something new I could do. But yeah, I kind of in previously I just get caught just doing my strength training workouts, going for nice walks. I wasn't really doing much cardio, but I've actually had a lot of fun, like immersing myself in some new skills like kickboxing and so forth. So that's sort of how it looks. But I mean, like if you compare, I put a lot less effort into fitness than a lot of people you probably know that aren't even that fit. Like I don't put much effort into it. I'll just push my first meal later to the day, and it's not even that hard. It just is effortless. I'll eat incredible meals. I don't not drink alcohol. I'll have a few drinks here and there, and I'll do like a couple hard workouts, and then just have fun. And like that's the lifestyle I've cultivated, which has allowed me to get into the shape I want, because I focus on those important things. I focus in the gym. I always focus on having that goal, getting stronger in key exercises, structure my training in the most effective way possible to make those strength gains, setting up my nutrition to make it so easy and enjoyable to actually keep my calories where they need to be while also getting enough protein. So that's sort of how my fitness kind of looks.
Greg, I wanted to wrap up with one question. How do you track your key performance indicators in terms of like what you're actually tracking? I mean, I know you're tracking like your calorie intake, you're tracking maybe your weight or what you're actually doing, but I'd be very curious about how you're measuring your results.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very progress and metric oriented. So I am tracking, my body weight, my measurements like waist measurement, chest measurement, arm measurement. In the gym, I'm tracking my lifts, incline bench, overhead press, chins, I'm tracking all these different variables. It's super, super important because it motivates you to kind of push it a little bit harder so you can make that gain. But then as far as my nutrition, I used to like be very, very diligent tracking my calories, my macros, proteins, fats, and carbs, but it becomes very obsessive. So in the last couple of years, I've kind of started to wean away and sort of listen to my body, be more in tune. And sort of, I kind of know what I'm getting. Like when you track things for a while, you pretty much know how much you're eating, and it almost becomes a little bit unnecessary and excessive, and almost becomes like a crutch to like have to pull out your phone and be like, and like weigh everything. It's like, it's a little bit of a crutch where you don't really need to do that. Like, you've tracked it for a while. Okay, I know how many calories are here, so I've actually evolved myself to become a lot more in tune with my body and a lot more like relaxed. And I'll be like, okay, you know what? I have a good idea of what I'm getting here. At the same token, with nutrition, it's like when you do these strategies, intermittent fasting, eating foods that are really filling and satisfying, listening to your body, not overeating, not falling into a binge eating because you tell yourself that you're not allowed to have something, which is usually what creates binge eating. It's the guilt that triggers excessive eating beyond comfort. So when you hone that down, you actually can get amazing results without having to track everything all the time, because it just becomes a burden. You don't always want to have to like go out to dinner and be like, hey, how many calories is this? It's just not fun. So that's actually why I love intermittent fasting, is you can make amazing results without having to consistently track everything. Just do it in the beginning, get an idea of what you're getting, know how much you should be eating, and then move away, pull away. And then if you start to plateau, then start to track things again, but then gradually pull back. And the cool thing with that is I get better results doing that, because when I'm always tracking everything, it just depletes all this willpower. It makes me think about food a lot more. And then I just start to I start to get more cravings. I just want to think about food only when I have to. So when I go into a meal, I'm like, hey, I guess I'll have this, and then I'll eat that, and I'll try and forget about food. The worst thing, and what really messes with people trying to get lean, is that they're always thinking like, what am I going to eat next? What should I have? When's my next meal? How long till dinner? What are my macros here? And they're always like just using all this mental energy trying to figure out their diet when they don't have to. Just put your mind there, the absolute minimum, and then forget about it, move on with your life, think about different things. This is actually the benefit of you and me, is that we have our own businesses, we're always got things in our mind, so we're always focused. So it actually makes it easier. If we had nothing to do, no work life, then it would be so much easier for us to get caught up in the mental juggle of always thinking, oh, when's my next meal, this and next. That burns your willpower. It actually makes you more likely to break your diet and just eat when you don't need to.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Greg. This has been a great interview, and I look forward to seeing you in Vegas at Summit.
I'm very excited, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Cool. Cheers.